While Democrats shout white privilege to real Americans, it's time they are given some real-life examples of what the word privilege really means. Privilege is wearing $200 sneakers when you've never had a job. Privilege is wearing $300 Beats headphones while living on public assistance. Privilege is having a smartphone with a data plan which you receive no bill whatsoever for. Privilege is living in public subsidized housing where you don't have a water bill, where rising property taxes and rents and energy costs have absolutely no effect on the amount of food you can put on your table. Privilege is the ability to go march against and protest against anything that triggers you without worrying about calling out of work and the consequences that accompany such idiotic, retarded behavior. Privilege is having as many children as you want, regardless of your employment status, and be able to send them off to daycare or school that you don't pay for. So Democrats, get off your fucking high horse on privilege, okay? Real Americans know it when we see it. And it's a good thing our 3-time elected President Donald Trump sees it as well, because all this fleecing of America will soon be a thing of the past. What do you guys think of Thomas?
White privilege is very real, and before y'all jump down my throat, I'm responding to racism in my comments, so let me explain it to y'all because some of you seem to be very confused. White privilege does not mean that every white person is born rich. That's generational wealth. White privilege does not mean that every white person has an easy life. I am very white, and I have lived through poverty, the struggle, domestic violence, addiction, anything you can think of. But guess what I have never lived through? Being discriminated because of the color of my skin. And that's the difference. It means when I walk in the store, nobody's automatically watching me because of the color of my skin. It means that I can use my right to bear arms without being called a gang member or a thug. It means that I can drive down the road and not just be pulled over because of the color of my skin. It means when I apply for a job, my name sounding black doesn't limit me from getting that job. It means when I apply for a house, me being black doesn't lower my chances of getting that loan or being able to rent. Acknowledging that doesn't mean that I personally created racism. It doesn't mean that I should apologize for being white. It doesn't mean that I should feel guilty for being white. It means that I can be honest that there are people with my skin tone making life harder on purpose for people who do not look like me. People that are in positions of power, historically, even now, look like us. Everybody that makes decisions that affect people's day-to-day life. Bankers, loan makers, lawyers, teachers, police officers, judges. So when racist mindsets exist in those places, it's not just racism, it's discrimination. That's why we try to speak out against racism. It becomes somebody not getting the job. It becomes somebody not getting the house. It becomes somebody getting followed in a store more often. Someone getting pulled over more often. Someone not being able to use self-defense because they've already made up their mind. That person is aggressive, so they had to do it. That is white privilege. We see it with Karen situations all the time. That's why people record it now and try to call it out. A white woman goes up to a black woman, a Hispanic woman, Latino, whatever it may be. Someone that has a darker shade skin than them. Start shit. I mean, talking shit, calling them every name under the book, awful things. And as soon as that person even raises their voice, they call and act like a victim to 911 or whoever, to people around them. Oh my God, can you No, you did that. Like I said, the only reason this is even starting to come to a head is because there's cameras everywhere and people always have a phone in their hand. And that's the truth. White people have family annihilators, school shooters, pedophiles, everything under the sun. But nobody looks at me and thinks I'm dangerous because Ted Bundy was a serial killer. Black people don't get the same grace. And instead of getting pissed off every time someone says that white privilege exists, maybe ask yourself why the phrase pisses you off more than the reality that it does. Because every time you hop in my comment section calling me insulting names, saying colonization should still exist, saying that black people are naturally aggressive and that they're like animals, you're proving the point that you're trying to say does not exist. We are all God's people. Nobody is superior because of race. White privilege doesn't mean that white people never struggle. It means that your skin tone isn't the reason for any of your struggles. That is the difference. And until we realize that, we're never going to get anywhere.
This is how black people go about minding their business, and you see some of these white folks coming out and want to trend on the backbones of black people. Which one is Democrats? Democrats did what? Talking about privilege. Why is it that some of these white people you see and you think that these people are educated, they can talk, their sound? At the end of the day, if you check, like this core, they empty. It's that bad that in every single conversation they want to just involve black people. They want to involve black Americans. They want to say something that will trigger them. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Sonia. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. Credit to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. I want to say a very big thank you to every single one of you. Liking, commenting, sharing, dropping super thanks. Also joining my membership. I do not take you guys for granted. You guys are absolutely the best. Guys, with that being said, let's dive right into this video so that you watch the remaining part of this clip, and I'll be back with commentaries. It's quite sad. Leave black people alone.
You want to talk about privilege? You want to talk about real privilege? Real privilege is wearing $200 sneakers when you haven't worked a day in your life. Privilege is walking around with $300 Beats headphones while you're living on food stamps, while you're on public assistance, and it's paid for by people who wake up and grind every day. Privilege is having the latest smartphone with unlimited data and having zero idea where the bill goes because somebody else is always picking up the tab. Privilege is being able to protest every little thing that offends you without worrying about calling in sick to work because you don't have a job. Privilege is being able to cheat, lie, fail over and over again in life and still get bailed out while people who play by the rules get punished. That's privilege. This isn't about race. This isn't about class. This is about accountability. We've got a culture that rewards victimhood and demonizes work ethic and responsibility. Meanwhile, the people holding everything together for the rest of society, they get taxed into the ground. Their businesses get choked by regulation, and they get personally vilified for speaking up and saying that this is full. You want to talk about privilege? Then start with the people who've never paid the price, but who also scream the loudest. Because they've never had to build anything. They've never had to defend anything. They've never had to carry any real weight. And the reason they get away with it, it's because we don't live in a society of strong men anymore. No. That's been dismantled on purpose over the last 50 years. Because a society of strong men would never put up with any of this bullshit. And that's exactly why they came after us first.
5 years ago, you could not convince me otherwise that this dude wasn't racist. But now that I know individualism, he hit every buzzword. Hard work, talking about not being able to be silenced, or, well, essentially saying you'd be under attack for speaking out, right? That's freedom of speech. It's all about rights. It's about strength. It's about power. All of these terms that he's using, speaking to individualism. It's not about your race. It's about your output and your work ethic and your individual merit that you have gone forth with. In collectivism, in the black community, you're kind of told that this is what racism sounds like. I had to actually discover that that's what individualism sounds like. America is the most individualistic nation on the planet. So these hyper individualistic white dudes, there's a lot of them because they live in a country that is like really manufacturing this. You can't convince me that this is anything but individualism. And I want you to notice that even words mean different things to different groups. An individualist would even use the word privilege differently. He's talking about the privilege of owning something in the present time without having to do any actual work for it. That's the privilege. Versus a collectivist would talk about historical privilege, meaning something in the past was done that you didn't have to work for, and now you're reaping the benefits. Individualists saying you didn't work for your Beats headphones, they might say, I definitely did, or my mama did, or like someone close to me did. If you say historically you are privileged, individuals would be like, no, I'm not. No one helped me get here. And they're like, well, someone went across a ocean to get you here. That's help. Like, even if it wasn't you, that you didn't ask for it. And that's what I mean. Your worldview will dictate how you even interpret language. So are white people privileged? Yes and no. Are they personally privileged? Definitely not. Are they historically privileged? Yes. I mean, all Americans are, unless you're first generation and you had to get yourself here.
There's no such thing as white privilege. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that, generally from a white evangelical. And of those two groups, I am one, and I used to be the other. So I speak their language. So my response to that has been, there is no God. And as soon as their head stops exploding, it allows for me to start a conversation that says, just because you haven't seen or recognized something does not mean it doesn't exist. I mean, there are millions of people across the world who don't believe in God, but you clearly do, because you have seen or experienced something that someone else may not have. The same thing is true of white privilege. I don't add the part that it's only because you're willfully blind that you don't see that there's white privilege. To be clear, I still believe in God. I don't believe in a lot of the teachings that the church used to indoctrinate me, but I still believe there is a God. And I have seen white privilege for a long, long time, especially working in the legal system. But this has been a way for me to start a conversation with people who otherwise just flat out ignore it and say, is it possible that there is something out there that you haven't seen, that you haven't experienced, that you are blind to, but it still exists? And they have to say yes to that, because if they don't say yes to that, then I can go back and say, well, there is no God, because you sure can't prove there is. And there's a whole lot more evidence to prove white privilege than there is to prove the existence of God. So, doesn't work on many people, but listen, if I can get through to one or two, that's one or two that will open their eyes. And while I've given up on a great number of people, I'm still holding out hope that we still can get through to a few. So, yeah, to be clear, there is white privilege. I know that. Go love your neighbor.
All black people are impulsive, lazy.
All black people are impulsive and lazy. I'm pretty sure it is not all black people that are impulsive and lazy, right? That's a racist stereotype. This is a white Christian nationalist. He's also a pastor, although he's not really preaching the good word. I feel like he's preaching a lot of hate. Can't believe you call yourself a pastor without preaching the word of love, but okay. There is a whole endless list of black people, successful black men and women, kings and queens out here doing the business, okay? We're not all lazy and we're not all impulsive. In fact, here are some of my favorite black accomplished people out there. Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, the first black male president and the first black woman to be the first lady. Breonna Daniels, y'all know that I did a video on her a while back. She's the first black woman to work in a NASCAR pit stop. Victor Glover, the first black astronaut to pilot the Artemis II. You know that new space mission that's trying to go to the moon right now? Yeah. And what about the college graduates? What about all these people? Are they lazy? I just don't think you should be saying that all black people are lazy and impulsive. It's racist, which I'm sure he doesn't care because he's a white Christian nationalist. So what does my opinion even mean to him? Don't let these people bring you down. You know who you are inside. We need to stay united. And if you like that kind of thing, follow me to join this beautiful growing community of non-hateful people. And spread love everywhere you go.
Okay, I love a challenging question. Racist dog whistle versus individualism. How do we tell the difference? And am I just being a coon for even thinking that there is one? So first, let me point out something that I think is fascinating, is that pattern recognition is not enough for us to come to a conclusion. And I use the perfect example here of the difference between Caitlyn Jenner and RuPaul. If you don't have a relationship with queer community, you can't tell the difference between Caitlyn Jenner and RuPaul. You would think they're both trans, where one is a drag queen and one is trans. So what I'm basically saying is the closer you are to understanding something, the better you can delineate the differences, right? Because you have a relationship with it. Collectivism, we respect that as well. If you have a relationship with a community, you can tell the difference, right? Like some people can't tell when they're looking at an African versus a foundational black person, but you ask us, we like, nah, they African, right? So that's what I'm saying here at this level too. Is it's very hard to not see a racist white dude if you're from afar, but when you get closer, you can go, oh, that's individualism. So that's one piece of it. The second piece is being able to decipher how we're making our decisions. How do we analyze the situation? Individualism will analyze the situation very clear on the individual word choice being used, whereas collectivism is going to do more pattern recognition and think of the social impact of the words you're using. So a white dude disparaging people for being lazy, we know who you're talking about. Versus individualism is like a white dude who says, I'm explicitly not talking about race. We go, okay, well, he's not talking about race. What is he talking about? So that's a difference here. And now let me give you an example. I just watched The Amazing Creator, and this is to so you show like I'm not like, oh, white people are the best and black people are horrible. That's not what's happening, even though that's how I get perceived. What I'm saying is, so let's take a doctor. A doctor is a perfect example of how they should be operating. A doctor should always look at the individual patient that's in front of them, but at times a doctor might look at the collective worldview and then make their decision. And I think that's where a doctor is going to act as a racist more so than a good primary care person. So a perfect example of this, I was watching a creator who shared a story of this black woman who has sickle cell anemia, and she went to the hospital to get some care, and she was like, hey, what does best is this level of Benadryl that I need and I get prescribed. So this is what her personal care is. Well, this racist doctor, and I'm going to say they're racist because they didn't take her individual situation into consideration. They looked at at the collective story of a black person coming in asking for drugs that don't typically align with this level of care. And he goes, I'm a doctor, I'm an expert. You're just trying to get high and you're not fooling me. And it's like, whoa, chill. That's racist. Why is it racist? Because he didn't look at the individual and what they were sharing and the information they had. He was going based off of collective judgment. And so when I come back to our perception, the reason why I rail against pattern recognition and I say worldview over race, not race over worldview, is because typically the collectivist pattern recognition is A plus B equals C. So A is white man, B complaining about laziness, C, he's racist. But that's in our head. We finished that sentence. He didn't say that. We said he was racist. We said he's talking about us. And that's because the racist white collective from history's past has complained about us so much being lazy that we have personally we have accepted that label to mean us. When you're talking about laziness, they're talking about us. But there are white lazy people, there are Asian, Indian lazy people who don't like lazy people, don't like all lazy people. But we think it's always about us because we've been taught and force-fed the collective worldview so much that we also believe in collectivism and see group dynamics first. We think of groups before individuals. So what I'm saying is, yes, there are people that look like this dude that have probably said these things in a racist manner. What I'm saying is this guy is hyper individualistic and he's probably like rugged individualistic. He likes the most extreme version of individualism. And that's why he's railing against laziness in general. But it's not because he's against black people. He is against laziness. And that is not racism, even though the collective has taught us over and over that it is. Am I close? Are you like, nah, bro, you're doing too much. You're trying too hard to make white people happy.
Lazy.
Excuse me? All people are what? First of all, let me tell you something. You racist ass wannabe Christian motherfucker. First of all, not all black people are lazy. That's racist and that's a stereotype. First of all, boo-boo, look at our history. Black people, we didn't have no right to be lazy. We was working our asses off. Look at history. Slavery, hello? Them slaves wasn't lazy because the racist white man was beating up slaves for being lazy and shit, killing them and shit. Was working their asses off in the fields. So, boo-boo, not all black people are lazy. And you convince me with that Christianity shit. Because real Christians, nah. A real Christian would never say that. You just a racist ass white man. Because, honey, let me tell you something. I cannot speak on all black people, but let me tell you something. This black queen ain't motherfucking lazy by a damn shot. I work 5 to 6 hours, 5 to 6 days out the motherfucking week. I do anywhere from 8, 9, 10, sometimes 11, sometimes 12 motherfucking hours. So again, who the fuck is lazy? Cause black people, we is not fucking lazy. Black people, we work our asses off every single motherfucking day. We can't afford to be lazy. We was taught how to work. The fuck? I'm so tired of y'all racist white folks. I swear to God, I'm tired of y'all. I'm so tired of racist white folks. And you got the audacity to call yourself a Christian. First of all, we are all God's children. The only thing that's different about us is the color of our skin. The fuck? Cancel this man. You should not even be a priest or a pastor. Because if this is what you're teaching people in the church, I hope you know you're going to hell. You're going to hell. God don't like ugly. God don't like racism. Talking about some all black people lazy. Find you somebody else to play with. The fuck?
Anyways, welcome. Hope you guys literally enjoyed every single clip I was able to roll out for you guys. And I think these white people are the ones that install that particular thought into a lot of Africans that will literally look into Black Americans' eyes and said lazy. That clip where that man said black people are just lazy is that man that you're seeing there is a pastor. Pastor. So I don't know why a lot of white people, I don't know why they think that whenever people talk about privilege, they are talking about, oh, that they have a lot of things. Like you can literally listen from where one was literally explaining where he said white privilege simply means that you have a lot of sneakers, you have a lot of money. I don't think that is privilege. I don't know why a lot of people are confused whenever they hear this white privilege of a thing. There's a lot of people things that will happen to a black person that will not happen to you. That is a privilege. And I'm happy that we have some white women that actually broke down and have to educate these men and have to correct their number six, since their number six is actually touch. Because if it is not touch, how can someone that is matured enough can just sit down and say, oh, white people don't have privilege, black people are this, black people are feeling oppressed, and the rest of that? Is you know what is literally happening? So when we talk about privilege, we talk about things that on a normal day, a black person can be pew-pewed, and you as a white person will just go scot-free. That is the privilege you're talking about. And in 2026, in fact, I'm not even seeing any damn of them having that privilege. In fact, for me, the privilege is even taken away from them already. So one thing I've learned, or one thing I've known with these few years of content creating, is any single white person that wants to trend need to just do something abstract. And that is why I think most of some of their clips that they literally bring out is because they want to trend. If not, what is the business? What is black people's business that you have to say, oh, Democrats, every single thing Democrats, every single thing Democrats, every single thing Democrats. Oh, they are lazy. Lazy in what aspect? Lazy for the fact that the colonizers came and take everything, reclassified it, strip people off their lineage. Lazy for people building and inventing, making sure that America is what it is today, and you people just came and take over. See, it's just a whole lot. Whenever you hear some of this conversation that some of these white folks want to have online, and the moment they started getting backlash, because that is actually what they are looking for, they want to trend with the strength of black people, right? So the moment they started getting backlash, it becomes a thing of black people are jealous, black people are racist, black people are this, black people are that. And it's not making sense, honestly. If you know the truth, stand by the truth. If you know what is right, stand by what is right. If you don't want to say what is right, then you keep quiet. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Credit to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. I want to say a very big thank you to every single one of you. Liking, commenting, sharing, dropping super thanks. Also joining my membership. I do not take you guys for granted. You guys are absolutely the best. And yes, guys, with that being said, with no further ado, I do like I always say in my videos, I'm going to be saying bye, and I'll see you guys in my next one. For now, bye guys. I love you guys. Mwah.